Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to League Racing TV for round 3 of the Division 3 Championship in TTML. My name is Aidan Carter, otherwise known as Carmentalist. I will be taking you through the proceedings today, as always, and as always, joining me in the commentary box is TTG Conti. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, really good. It's a bit hot here, but besides that, really, really good. How are you, buddy?
Doing really, really well. I was just saying to you before we got going that this is the first day in like a week and a half that the UK isn't boiling hot. It's actually raining for the first time. Never thought I'd be happy to see rain, but we have finally got it. So it's not quite as hot in the UK, thank the Lord. So you're unfortunately the unlucky one today. But coming into round 3 of the championship, another new round to the calendars. Obviously, we're at Zandvoort this time around in the Netherlands. What are you expecting to see from today? Are you expecting to see something maybe similar to what we saw in Vietnam, or something completely different?
No, I think something the same like Vietnam. It's a really tricky track to overtake. A lot of corners. So yeah, I think quality will be the key in this race.
Absolutely, yeah. Quali is definitely something to look out for. Like you say, there's only really one major overtaking opportunity on this track, and that is down into turn one. Just going to run you through the standings before we get underway for qualifying. So, after the second round of the championship, F1 AMG still leads the way on 44 points, but his lead has been cut now to 2 points only over TNR Jay Bogan. He's the only person so far to get 2 podiums in the first 2 rounds of the season. To Jonas, his teammate in the other Williams, is third on 39 points, and then it's Eloy Mark in fourth. So Mark had a bit of a poor start to the season, unfortunately, in Australia, but came home with a second place result in Vietnam. It was a 1-2 in the end for Renault last time out, so a great showing for them. Bert is in fifth, ahead of Caesar in sixth in the other Renault. He took the win last time out, ahead of Mashiro in seventh, and his Red Bull teammate Steve is in eighth. Jan is in ninth in the Mercedes, and running off the top 10 at the moment is Focky in the Haas. Below Focky at the moment, we have TMC Jono, Flores, Kieran, Sean, Isotopic, Simply Superman, Ferrari Racer, and Casper. They are all the point scorers so far this season. The only 2 point scorers that we haven't had so far are both of the Ferrari drivers, Lighty and Sam. Both haven't scored yet. So, speaking of the Ferrari drivers, it's been a bit of a poor start to the season for them, unfortunately, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has a bit unlucky. A couple of spins, um, and they are absent today, I think. So no points will be scored for them today. But yeah, overall, just unlucky the first couple of races.
Absolutely, yeah. Especially Lighty last time out. He showed flashes of pace last time out in Vietnam, but unfortunately couldn't get the car through to the front of the field. He couldn't make up for some of the mistakes he made and a lot of the chaos that we had last time out in Vietnam. Speaking of Vietnam, just a race recap last time out. Renault absolutely dominated, didn't they?
Yeah, they did some great driving. They started on front of the pack and they just drove them home. Really great race. They were never in any real trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was, like I said earlier on, it was Caesar that came home with a win over his teammate Mark. Jay Bogan picked up the podium, but was never really close enough to challenge the Renaults. But championship leader F1 AMG, he had a bit of a poor race last time out. He had a few incidences throughout the race, but apart from that, the pace he showed in Vietnam was absolutely stellar, wasn't it?
Yeah, incredible pace. It was a wet race, first time for a lot of guys in Vietnam. And just such great pace and some bold moves as well. I mean, his overtaking was superb.
Yeah, absolutely. He pulled off some great overtakes in that race. And like I say, in the full wet conditions at Vietnam, it could not have been really a harder race. And he showed absolutely amazing pace. It's just a shame that the race didn't really come together for him in the end. But we are just about ready to go for qualifying. So wait and see who the first person out on the track is. I think it's one of the Alfa Romeos that's first out onto the track. We'll wait and see who's going to be coming around the corner first. Is it Isotopic or is it Thor? Let's wait and see. It's actually Thor. He's coming out. He's a reserve, I believe. So this is his first race of the season. He's in the Alfa Romeo. So have you seen Thor anywhere? Actually, as I say that, Thor's spun in the first bank corner on the track. He's obviously got caught out by the banking here. That's one thing to note for this track as well, is that while it's a relatively short lap, there are a lot of places here that could really catch people out.
Yeah, some really difficult corners, some banked corners, which is I believe the only track on the calendar that has really this banking in the corners. Yeah, really difficult. And also the curbs here are so high. You just have to avoid the majority of the curbs, or you will be catched out by them.
Absolutely, yeah, that is one thing to look out for. Staying well away from the curbs could get you a better lap time here. So it's going to be simply Superman who's going to be the first man round to start his first qualifying run. We were talking a little bit earlier before, obviously, the stream got underway. We're thinking qualifying here, maybe a high 1 minute 8 for pole position today.
Yeah, I believe so. The guys in Division 1 did low 8s, an 8-1, I believe. So Yeah, and high 8, low 9 should be possible for these guys.
Absolutely, yeah. So we're riding on board with Simply Superman. He's coming round the final corner now. He'll be the first person to start his first qualifying lap here at Zandvoort. Should be able to get 4 runs here. It's a relatively short lap. So here he comes into turn 1. Brakes at about just before the 50-metre point. Comes into the corner, down into second gear. Gets a little bit squirrely on traction mid-corner, but gets away with it. Coming up now into turn 2. A very fast right-hander before the first banked corner on the track. A slow second gear corner. He's down into first actually there. Very easy to lose traction on the exit as he rides over the hill, but he gets away with it now through the kinks up towards the top of the track, over the crest of the hill, now into one of the most spectacular corners on the track. This is a near flat 6th gear corner coming round and then into the fast part of the middle sector. Nice kink there, 6th gear, and then into the 2 slow hairpins here. Very easy to get caught out on traction on the exit of both corners. Simply Superman gets through the first one nicely. Through the second hairpin now. Stays well away from that inside curb, as you said, staying away from the curbs. Down the back straight, the second DRS zone on the track. Coming into a very sharp, slow chicane. Through into second gear, and then a very long hairpin to start the final sector off. And now coming into the final 2 corners. About a 4th gear corner this last one. Very easy to run wide and invalidate. Gets away with it though, and then into the final banked corner, which is completely flat. He just touches the grass on the inside and is actually derating before the line. But Simply Superman, the first person to set a lap time, and it's a 1 minute 9.5. A good banker, but definitely under pressure of being beaten.
Yeah, it is for a bank lap. It's okay. A couple of mistakes, especially in the right-left corner there. But yeah,
we've already lost one driver in this session. Kieran, meanwhile, spun on the entrance to turn 3. He's obviously lost the car on the exit of turn 2 and has hit the wall before the first bank corner. So Kieran hasn't been able to set a lap time. He was on the medium tyres. He's obviously been caught out by the lack of grip and is spun into the wall. Meanwhile, championship leader F1 AMG's at the top of the field. Meanwhile, second place, Isotopic, a good qualifying so far from him. I know we're only early into the session, but Isotopic is showing good pace so far around here.
Yeah, he does, and he did that last time out as well in quali. I think qualifying is really his strong point. Race pace, he's consistent, but not one of the fastest guys. But who knows, if he can drive a decent race, he can pick up a podium.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's F1 AMG at the top of the field by less than a tenth of a second over Isotopic. Mashiro once again in that familiar position of P3. He seems to not be able to get out of P3 in qualifying at the moment. He's currently there in the Red Bull ahead of Simply Superman. A bit of a gap back to him in 4th. Jan is in 5th and the other Mercedes ahead of Mark in 6th. Only 6th after his first run. He obviously qualified on the front row at Vietnam. He's only currently P6 and 7/10 off of the championship leader. Focky's in 7th ahead of his Haas teammate Birch in 8th. Fall is in 9th after his first run in qualifying, but he's a little bit far down, so it looks like he might have made a mistake on that run. Caesar on an outlap, but Caesar's gone for the medium tyres, so he may be trying something a little bit different.
Yeah, I think so, because I think the majority of guys will go for the soft-hard combination of tyres. Maybe he's going for a 2-stop, or it could be it's just his, to get his banker lap in.
Absolutely, yeah. He could be going for a 2-stop, like you say. He might want to save a set of soft tyres for the race, so that might be why he's running a set of mediums now. He's coming around to start his first run in qualifying. Steve's going to be coming around to start his first run in qualifying as well. So Jonas is on the lap, so we'll go on board with him. He's on the softs. Big lock up there into the first bank corner, but because it is banked, obviously, you can carry more speed in there and not lose that much time. Let's see where he goes then through the first sector. Let's see what his time is going to be. Meanwhile, his teammate Jay Bogan, second in the championship, only 2 points off the championship lead, is not here today. So prime opportunity for Tejonis and F1 AMG to break out front here. Let's see where Tejonis is relative to other people coming towards the end of the middle sector. A bit of a snap of oversteer there on the first hairpin. Like I said, very easy to get caught out on traction there. Coming through the second hairpin now, much neater. Stays well away from the outside curb, down the second DRS straight into the final sector. Gets to the inside, doesn't use a lot of inside curb. You will see a lot of people bouncing really over the top of that curb as he now comes to the final 2 corners on the track again. Very easy to invalidate here. He comes into the penultimate corner, touches the curb on the inside ever so slightly, but gets away with it. Now through the final banked corner. Let's see where Jonas' first time is going to put him. He keeps it very tight for the shortest run to the line, and it's only a 1 minute 9.4 from Jonas, so he goes P4. At the moment, people that usually are at the front of qualifying, struggling a little bit at the moment.
Yeah, they are. I was on board with Caesar. He was struggling a bit as well, probably because of his medium tires. But yeah, it's a really difficult track this, and new on the calendar for the game this year. So yeah, a couple of guys. Ooh, and he lost at Caesar.
Or has Caesar spun the car? Yeah, he has. He's spun the car on the exit of turn 1. He's only managed an 11.2 on those medium tyres. There obviously is a little bit of a delta between the two tyres, sorry, and Caesar's broken his front wing as well. But an 11.2 is quite a way off the pace. It's 2.1 seconds slower than F1 AMG at the top of the field, which doesn't necessarily suggest that Caesar has the best of confidence around this track.
No, definitely not. I mean, we've seen him last race out. He qualified second, I believe, and finished first. So he has the pace, but still a bit struggling on this on Zandvoort.
Absolutely. Here comes Steve to the line to finish his first run in qualifying. He's derating before the line as well, but he goes to the top of the field. A great lap from Steve, a 1 minute 9.1. Steals provisional pole off of F1 AMG. That's more like it from Steve. Steve's been running kind of in the bottom end of the top 10 for the majority of the season. He's been a little bit overshadowed by his teammate in terms of pace, but he's had consistent results running in around 6th and 7th place. But to the top of the timesheets, looking very good at the moment for Steve.
Yeah, well, maybe he really fancies the track and practice it a lot. I mean, we saw some glimpses of brilliance of him, but most of the time he fell back a bit in the race. And what you said, drove around in P6, P7 or something. But I haven't really seen any major mistakes of him. So overall, okay, and great qualifying, first qualifying lap of him.
Oh, just on board with Thor. He spun the car coming out of the first of the hairpins in the second sector. He was a tenth and a bit up in the first sector on his personal best, but he's lost the car. And oh my word, one of the Mercedes lost the car and went almost completely through him. That was Jan. Jan's gone on the medium tyres and he went off at almost the exact same spot. Incredibly lucky that Thor's car was ghosted for him, because that would have been an almighty collision between the two. But the medium tyres here look almost undrivable. Jan and Caesar really struggling for pace. They can't keep the car on the road. And Kieran obviously spinning and hitting the wall before turn 3 on a set of medium tyres as well. It doesn't look like the medium tyres are any good around here.
No, it doesn't. And then, probably a lot of guys after the soft stint are going for the hard tyres. So it's going to be you have to be really careful in the race not to lose it and end your race. I mean, it's a really curvy track with a lot of height differences, even within corners. So really difficult.
Absolutely, really difficult. Meanwhile, Mark is currently on a massive improvement on his time. He's nearly 6/10 up. He got a little bit on the grass on the entrance to the last corner, but he now takes provisional pole in a 1 minute 9.003. Massive improvement in the middle sector, almost 5/10 faster than his personal best in the middle sector, and he's now jumped right to the front of the timesheets. That's more like it from Mark, just over a tenth clear, but we're right on board with F1 AMG. He's coming towards the end of the first sector. Let's see whether he can improve on his first run. Mushiro's also on a run as well. He's just in front of F1 AMG on the track. Here comes the Mercedes man round the final corner in the first sector. He's 2 and a bit tenths up on his personal best already, so this is looking like a good improvement from him. Keeps it well away from the outside of the corner there. Shortest run to the second hairpin. Again, keeping it well away from the entrance and exit curbs there. Now coming towards the end of the second sector. Has he improved even more? He is. He's now 3 and a bit tenths up. This is a very good lap so far from F1 AMG. Looks like the first man is going to be into the 1 minute 8. Let's see what he can do in the final sector. He was a little bit wide of the apex in the chicane, but just about gets away with it. Into the penultimate corner. Takes a little bit too much inside curb there and gets a little bit sideways on the exit of the corner. He should still improve on his time, but he would have lost quite a bit there in that penultimate corner. He comes up to the line. It's a 1 minute 8.9. He goes 2 tenths faster than his personal best, but there's still more time in the bank there for F1 AMG. That's ominous for the rest of the field, surely.
Yeah, it is, and I think a couple of guys will get under his time as well. So I think probably pole position, let's just point it out, I think it's going to be 187.
Yeah, it does look like it's going to be around that time at the moment, doesn't it? Meanwhile, Isotopic's on an improvement. He's about a tenth and a half up, so he's looking to get ahead of Steve with this lap time. Let's see whether he can get close to Mark in the front row. This will be a great qualifying if he can pull that off. It's a 1 minute 9.0. He goes into third place, so just ahead of Steve. Isotopic improves up into third. This is a much better qualifying showing from Isotopic. Doing really, really well around this track. Clearly loves this track. Meanwhile, further in behind, a number of people are still struggling. So Caesar, he's back out on the soft tyres. Let's see what he can do in the first sector, but notably, both Haas cars really struggling at the moment.
Yeah, they are, and I didn't expect...
Sorry to cut in there. Caesar hits the curb on the inside of the corner at the top of the track and spins the car. So again, another mistake from the Renault man, and he's thrown away another set of soft tyres. He's going to have to go for one more run at the end of the session, but still not with a competitive time.
No, let's hope he can put in a great time and just qualify where he belongs, somewhere in the top 5, I believe. And the Haas's, yeah, I expected more from Betche. He had quite a good race around Vietnam. His quali was okay there, so I expected him to be up a bit higher.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have to wait and see whether they can make an improvement on their final run. Thor's on another run in the Alfa Romeo. He's looking to get 4 runs done in this qualifying session. It is definitely possible with how short the track is. So let's see whether he's improving by the time he gets to the end of the second sector. A 10.9 is not very competitive at the moment, but let's see what he can do. Has he improved on his time? He comes to the end of the second sector. He's half a second up already. So it looks like he's getting closer to the field in front. He's building his confidence throughout the session. He's going to be coming through the final 2 corners. He's got a bit of traffic in front. He's got both Red Bulls in front, but I don't think they're really going to affect him. He might even get a little bit of a benefit of toe, but it might be a little bit too far back to do so. But here he comes to the line. Where is Thor going to go? Steve meanwhile crosses the line and doesn't improve on his time. Thor does a 1 minute 9.9. He stays in 11th, but gets much closer to the field in front of him. That's more like it from the Alfa Romeo man.
Yeah, I expect Caesar to do the same, probably a bit faster, but yeah, overall for a reserve driver, it's the first time we see him here. Pretty decent time, and I think he can improve a bit more on his last run.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, to Jonas, just on looking at his lap at the moment, 3/10 down at the end of the second sector, and he's all over the road in the final 2 corners. Jonas, again, we saw he had a really good qualifying. Well, both Williams had amazing qualifying showings in Australia, but they really struggled for pacing in qualifying in Vietnam. And then again, it seems to Jonas is struggling here. So maybe Jonas starting to lose touch really with the front of the field at the moment.
Yeah, but I think it's mainly in qualifying. Last week out he didn't qualify that good, but on the first lap he already overtook 3 or 4 guys, I believe. So his race pace is there. But yeah, let's see if he can improve, and otherwise he's gonna have to have a cracker of a race, just like last week.
Absolutely, yeah. Mashiro, meanwhile, invalidated his next run in qualifying, so he's going to be diving straight into the pit. So we'll ride with Mark and see if he's going to be improving on his 1 minute 9 flat. Comes to the end of the first sector, and he is a 10th and a half up. That's a very good first sector. So this is looking like a good lap so far from Mark. Can he keep this improvement up through the rest of the lap? He's got one of the Mercedes in front of him. That'll be Jan, who's also on a lap on the soft tyres. See if he can improve on 9th place at the moment. Coming now down to the end of the second sector. Mark a little bit late to open his DRS. Comes to the end of the second sector. He's actually lost nearly a 10th and a half in the middle sector on his personal best, so he's down to only 300ths up on his personal best. He's a little bit neater through the chicane this time round, and he doesn't hit the grass on the way into the penultimate corner. He actually keeps it in 6th gear through there. He's running 2 gears higher than a lot of people, so carries a lot more speed into the penultimate corner. Now coming up to the line. Where does this time put him? It puts him at the front. A massive improvement in the final sector in the end. A 1 minute 8.7. Bang on what you said was going to be pole time. Even with a bit of a poor middle sector. Mark looking very, very good.
Yeah, and if he did a little bit more of his ERS management, he would have had ERS in the last straight, and I think that costed him a minimum of a 10th.
Yeah, absolutely. So it looks like there's still at least a 10th, maybe a 10th and a half in Mark's lap. So we could see him, if he's able to absolutely nail a lap, maybe get into the 1 minute 8.5s. That would be a start. That would be a stellar lap for Mark if he can pull it off. Caesar's now on another run on the set of soft tyres. Let's see what he can do. How much is he up on his medium time by the end of the first sector? Expect him to be quite a way up on his personal best. And he's 1.4 seconds up, so he's absolutely fine. But he's too wide there. Too wide in the kink. He doesn't invalidate. He gets away with it, but that is a massively compromised middle sector. Don't be surprised if he dives into the pits at the end of this lap to put another set of soft tyres on and go to the end of the session. Coming to the end of the second sector now. Where is this going to be in terms of his personal best? It's only 1.7 now, so he's not gained a lot in the middle sector on his medium time. This will still put him in contention for a mid-top 10 slot, but I'm sure there's more pace in that car. Considering that mistake, he now comes around the final 2 corners. A little bit of understeer there in the penultimate corner. Took a little bit too much speed in. Now comes through the final banked corner. He's keeping it right to the inside. Does he dive into the pits? No, he's going to stay out. This is going to be Caesar's final run. And it's only a 9.5. You can only go P9 with it. With that mistake, surely it would have been smarter for Caesar to come into the pit lane.
Yeah, I don't know if he would have made it. There's 2.5 seconds left. But yeah, if he didn't have that major mistake, it probably would have put him in the top 5, I believe.
Yeah, it's definitely at least 2/10, maybe even more than that in that mistake, and that's going to cost him, yeah, like you say, a number of places. 2/10 in this session would have put him right with the Red Bulls at the moment in between them. So Caesar down in 9th while his teammate's currently on pole. We're waiting for everyone else now to come out of the pit lane. We've only got the Red Bulls out on the track, as well as Thor on on his final run as well. But do you see really anyone apart from F1 AMG challenging Mark for pole position at the moment?
Yeah, difficult to say. I don't think Isotopic would be able, but I hope he can surprise me and pulls it off. Maybe Mashiro and Steve. They look really fast. So maybe the Red Bulls could spoil the party.
Absolutely. We'll ride on board with Thor for his final run in qualifying then. Let's see if he can improve from the back row of the grid. Comes round turn one. He's got his Alfa Romeo teammate just coming out the pits in front of him, but there's a huge queue of cars in front of him on the track. Hopefully they don't slow him up as he locks up a little bit into the bank corner, but that's not too uncommon to see. Comes out of the corner nicely on the traction. He floors the car very early and gets away with it. Now coming up over the hill into the very fast right-hander now. Does he go down into 6th gear? He does. A little bit of understeer mid-corner. See what his first sector time is. He's only slightly up on his personal best. He's got his Alfa Romeo teammate in front of him. That is Isotopic. Isotopic's going to want to get out of the way of his teammate. He's not going to do so at the moment. He's probably going to wait for the back straight. He's actually a little bit wide of the corner there. I think that might have caught Thor out a little bit. I think Thor wanted to go for a bit of a wider line, but couldn't because his teammate was in the way. So it comes to the end of the second sector. Has he improved on his time? Barely in the middle sector. He's barely up on his time. So this is going to have to be in a stellar last sector for Thor to gain any places at the moment. He has only got a little bit of gap in front of him to Bert, who's starting his final run. Comes around the penultimate corner. Nice and neat, not using all of the road. But he's coming... Have we got someone make a mistake maybe further down the field?
Machiro was on the hot lap and got blocked by Isotopic and almost rear-ended him.
Oh, that is such a shame for Machiro. Machiro's qualifying is over. He's going to dive into the pit lane. So that is Machiro only at least 5th on the grid. His teammate, meanwhile, is coming round the final corner now, and he's backed off. Steve has he's backed off of his time. He's obviously not improving on his time. He's decided not to continue with the lap. So both Red Bulls then with compromised final runs, they're not going to improve on their times. 4th and 5th only for Red Bull. What was a promising start to the session, they haven't been able to improve on their first runs.
Yeah, too bad. Machiro, I was on board with him during his lap. He was 4 tenths up. So yeah, then he got blocked by Isotopic. So could be in the last sector. Didn't see it. If he won a bit more, he could potentially go above Mark or F1 AMG. But yeah, too bad for him.
F1 AMG crosses the line. Meanwhile, it wasn't the best middle sector for him. He improved by 2 tenths in the final sector, but it's still not enough to knock Mark off the top step. Mark's invalidated his final run, so he's not going to be improving. Simply Superman's jumped to 4th, a thousandth of a second behind Isotopic. Isotopic went off the road in the middle sector, so he's not going to be improving on his time. It's only Jan and Caesar at the moment that can do anything. Caesar's out on the track, but I don't think he's going to be able to set a time. It looks like actually he might be able to set a time, so he's going to come round. Jan only slightly up on his time and is invalidated at the penultimate corner, so he's not going to be improving. So we'll just have to wait and see what Caesar can do, whether he can improve on a 1 minute 9.5. I'm absolutely amazed he's been able to get out for another lap. Let's see what he can do at the end of the first sector. Has he improved on his time? He's wide of the apex a little bit once again, and he's actually half a tenth down on his personal best, but he's much better there through the kink in the corner. That's going to gain him a lot of time. Let's see where this puts him at the end of the second sector. A relatively short middle sector here, only a few corners really. So he's coming now to the end of the second sector down the DRS straight. Is he improving on his time enough to challenge the guys in front? He's 3.5 tenths up now by the end of the second sector, but he's too late on the brakes there. That's going to compromise him massively in the chicane. Again, another mistake on a flying lap for Caesar that's going to cost him a little bit of time. This lap won't put him near the top 5 at the moment with that mistake. Let's see what he can do as he rounds the final corner. He's almost completely out of ERS as he comes up to the line. Where's his tap line going to put him? It's a 1 minute 9.1. It was a massive improvement in the final sector in the end. But even with the mistake, but he's only 6th on the grid with that time.
Yeah, everything really close together as we've seen the other races as well. Yeah, and too bad for Caesar. I mean, probably if you take all his laps and his fastest sectors, he would have had pole. But every hot lap he did, he had a little mistake.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's his teammate then, Eloise Mark, that takes pole position today. 1 minute 8.7, a good lap time from him. F1 AMGR championship leader doing all he needs to do to extend his championship lead. He's in second place at the moment on the front row, ahead of Isotopic in third. Good qualifying from him. Simply Superman as well shined at the end. He's in fourth, ahead of Steve in Caesar, 5th and 6th. Machiro only 7th, Jonas only 8th. Bert only 9th and Jan in 10th once again. I think that's the second time this season. Focky in 11th, ahead of Thor and Kieran, who did not set a time in the end. But apart from obviously the top two, a bit of a surprise order.
Yeah, it is, and it seems to be every race it's catching us out, and it's what we said last time out, and the first race as well. Everything's so close together. One little mistake could cost you a couple of places. So, yeah, really tight packed group and some great races, I think.
Absolutely, yeah. We're definitely going to be getting a lot of this throughout the entire season. It seems to flip and switch every race who's going to be at the front of the field, and this time round it's Mark who has the edge over his teammate. Last time out, Caesar obviously completely dominated the race in the end, and Mark was kind of playing second fiddle. This time round, it seems like Mark has the upper hand on his teammate.
Yeah, he does. I mean, yeah, 1 minute 8.7. Really, really, yeah, just terrific lap. Great.
Yeah, absolutely terrific lap from Mark in the end. A very competitive lap time. Him and F1 AMG in the end, I believe the only ones to get in the 1 minute 8s, which I'm a little bit surprised by. I was expecting more people to be in the 1 minute 8s.
Yeah, same here. I mean, we talked about it before we went on the stream. Some low eights, sorry, high eights, low nines, but it seems to be more low nines than high eights.
Yeah, absolutely. So only two people could get there in the end. Isotopic and Simply Superman only separated by 1,000th of a second in the end, but that's both of their best qualifying of the season so far. Isotopic obviously qualified low end of the top 10, just outside of it in Vietnam, and so did Simply Superman, up in third and fourth. Do you think they can hold those positions towards the end of the race?
Yeah, I really hope they can. I mean, Isotopic and Simply Superman did a great job qualifying today, but I think yeah, when you see the other races, I think they're gonna fall back a bit and to P6, P7, something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got to look out for the likes of the Red Bull drivers, the Haas drivers, to Jonas, and obviously Caesar as well, to maybe challenge for that podium over Isotopic and Simply Superman. But how well they are able to keep with the top two could play key to this race as to whether the top two get any sort of challenge from the cars behind.
Yeah, it is. I mean, yeah, it's a difficult track to overtake, so it could be that they're going to be holding up Caesar, Mishiro, Tejanos, Bercha, those guys who, yeah, who should be able to challenge for the podium. So if Mark and F1 AMG have a good start and drive a decent race, they can just fly away from the rest.
Absolutely, and another thing to look out for here at Zandvoort, the run down to turn 1 is incredibly short, so making moves into turn 1 on the first lap is going to be very, very difficult unless you get an absolutely stellar start. Just looking at the strategies as well outside the top 10, we've only got 3 people outside the top 10, but Focky, Thor and Kieran, all 3 of them have gone for a set of medium tyres, maybe looking to do a medium soft strategy.
Yeah, I really hope they can pull it off. It's a really high demanding track on tires, so let's hope they can pull it off.
Absolutely, we have to wait and see whether they can take those medium tyres far enough into the race to make the softs work at the end. We've got 36 laps ahead of us. 36 laps of great racing I am hoping for. It looks like it's going to be a very good race with the order that we've got. A lot of people coming through from the back of the field, but Kieran lines up in 13th on the grid. He's the last man on the grid. Here come the lights then ahead of the drivers. Who's going to get the best start at the front row? Is it Mark or F1 AMG? Long hole, but the lights are away, and it looks like a fairly even start at the front of the field for the pair of them. Mark is going to get the run down into turn 1. F1 AMG actually gets a poor second phase of the start, and he stays in second. Mark is clear out in front. Isotopic and Simply Superman look to have held third and fourth coming out of the first corner. It looks like Caesar's trying to get down the inside of Steve, but he can't make the move stick, so he sticks in behind. There's a little bit of contact further back. I think that might have been Mashiro running into the back of Caesar. Not quite sure. I think they got away with no damage. Jonas is on the grass coming down the straight towards the kinks. A very clean start at the moment, but it is Mark that leads from F1 AMG. Mark got a stellar getaway from the line ahead of F1 AMG in second. Isotopic still in third. Simply Superman looking racy at the start, right in fourth place, trying to get past him. Steve is in fifth ahead of Caesar in sixth. He's also looking racy in the Renault. Mashiro in seventh. Jonas in eighth. Birch is ninth. Jan is running out the top 10. Thor's had a great start. He's up into 11th place on the medium tyres, first of the medium runners. But after that, pretty much everyone staying in the same place they started.
Yeah, this is the first time that happens here. Normally there's 1 or 2 guys who have a poor start and some guys who have really flyover start. Yeah, let's see what happens now. I'm hoping they're gonna put some pressure on each other and magic happens.
Absolutely. We're now to the end of lap 1. Mark is derating coming down the pit straight. He's used a lot of overtake. He's already down to 50% overtake. So he's used a lot up trying to build that gap to F1 AMG. It's not quite over a second as of yet, but Mark still leads ahead of Isotopic in second. Sorry, that's not Isotopic, it's F1 AMG in second. A little bit of a timing glitch on my end. F1 AMG in second. Isotopic still running in third. He's starting to gap Simply Superman ever so slightly now, who's now coming under pressure from the Red Bull train behind him. So it's Steve ahead of Caesar, Mashiro and to Jonas. A little bit of a gap then back to Bircher, who's currently running it in 9th place. Just waiting to see though when F1 AMG pops back up onto the timing greens. But Mark is using, at the moment, just having a look on board with Mark already down to 40%. Mark is using so much ERS at this point to try and gap F1 AMG, and it's not quite working. F1 AMG is keeping with him and has got at least 30% more ERS at this point.
Yeah, we saw before F1 AMG, really quick driver. Not to say Marcus is slow, but because he's definitely not slow. But yeah, the, the positive thing about this track is there's a lot of braking zones, so you can save up quite quick your ERS up quite quickly. But yeah, he's really pushing it now to stay in front of F1 AMG.
Absolutely, and if you look on the track map as well, look at the gap that the top two have already. Mark sits the fastest up of the race at 12.4. They are 1.5 seconds clear of Isotopic already, which around Zandvoort is a big gap. He's running in third, 0.5 of a second ahead of Simply Superman, who's a little bit squirrely there on the exit of the corner. Jan is under pressure from Thor. Thor's looking very good on these medium tyres. He's kept with Jan. Jan can't keep with Birchett in front, so Jan's losing pace with the guys in front. And the medium tyres at the moment, especially on Thor and Kieran as well. Focky's struggling a little bit in the Haas, but Thor and Kieran on the medium tyres doing a very good job of keeping up with the queue in front of them.
Yeah, they are really surprising because they the medium tires we saw it in qualifying as well. It's not that grippy around this track, but yeah, maybe the soft tires are heating up a bit now after a couple of laps, and they have the advantage now.
Absolutely, yeah, that is one thing to look out for. A lot of long corners at Zandvoort, so a lot of overheating on the front tyres can happen here. So that's where the mediums will be having they will have a bit of an advantage. Thor has completely used up all of his overtake at this point to try and keep up, but still, like you say, it's very easy to save ERS around this track, and he's doing a good job of keeping up with the cars in front. Meanwhile, battle for the lead at the end of lap 3. F1 AMG has brought the gap down. He's used his ERS. He's brought the gap down to 0.3 of a second. Is he going to have a run into turn 1? He's not turned his overtake on. Sets the fastest lap of the race in the meantime, but he's putting all sorts of pressure on Mark now. F1 AMG looking naturally the faster of the two. Isotopic under a little bit of pressure from Simply Superman. He runs a bit wide as Isotopic, but gets away with it because of the banking of turn 1. Already Isotopic, a massive queue of cars behind him, all the way down really to Jonas in 8th place at the moment.
Yeah, that's what we talked about before the race started. It's really hard to overtake, so it's really easy for a guy with a bit slower race pace to hold up the rest, and that's happening now. I mean, it's 2.2 seconds, and F1 AMG really putting the pressure on Mark. I hope Mark can keep his composure and just drive his own race.
Absolutely, it looks like F1 AMG trying to force Mark into a mistake at this point. Another man to look out for is Caesar. Caesar's looking incredibly racy. He's really trying to get past Steve. He's trying to get Steve to get a move on, I think, because Steve is just stuck at the moment behind Simply Superman. Simply Superman loses touch ever so slightly with Isotopic in the middle part of the lap, but then Isotopic seems to struggle towards the end, and that's where Simply Superman comes back at him here. He's actually gained about 2.5 tenths just before the penultimate corner. He's on the overtake and the DRS. Can Simply Superman get a move done? Isotopic isn't defending this one, so Simply Superman's going to move past Isotopic. First overtake we've really seen in this race, and Simply Superman moves up into the podium places. Can he now gap Isotopic and get away from this queue of cars?
Yeah, let's see what happens. Really great overtaking. It's probably the only real overtaking spot you have on this track, and Isotopic is really low on ERS, so he really needs to save some and hope he can stay in Simply Superman's DRS range to save some up.
Absolutely, yeah. He's sticking with him in the middle part of the lap, but like I said, a lap before, it seems to be the end of the lap where Isotopic really struggles for pace. Thor, meanwhile, looks like... Oh, actually, no, that's a timing glitch on my end again. I keep getting caught out by these timing glitches, but Thor's running at the moment in 11th place. He's still keeping with this queue of cars very well. He's completely dropped Kieran and Focky at this point. Focky especially, I'm a little bit shocked by. He's really struggling for pace at this track.
Yeah, it surprised me as well. I mean, he has decent race pace. We've seen it in the other races. But yeah, probably the medium tire is not suiting him really well. So let's see. Maybe he goes for an earlier stop and try to get on the hard tires, and maybe that suits him better now.
Absolutely, yeah. Isotopic closing back up to Simply Superman down into turn 1 and bringing Steve with him. But Steve tried to go for a move at turn 1 on Isotopic. Because of the straight line speed and how short that straight is, he couldn't close in enough to make a move stick on him. And that's exactly what happened to Mashiro as well. Mashiro was only 1.5 tenths behind Caesar coming out of the final corner with overtake and DRS open. Still couldn't make a move stick on Caesar. The overtakes here are all going to be about who comes in earliest for the hard tyres.
I think so. The undercut can be really powerful, and yeah, I hope some guys are going to use it to get it done. And yeah, besides that, only the start-finish straight is your only opportunity to overtake.
Absolutely, it's only like you say, it's the only real opportunity unless someone in front of you makes a mistake. And the thing is as well, with Simply Superman and Isotopic using quite a bit of overtake to pass and defend from each other, it's meant that everyone behind has also used a lot of ERS, but the only two people really that have saved ERS very well are Mashiro and Sejonis. Mashiro and Sejonis running with about 80% ERS. That's nearly 50% more than anyone in front of them at the moment. Again, Mashiro really close coming out of the final corner. He's got a little bit more overspeed this time. He's using more overtake. He's going to go to the outside. Can he get this move stuck? He's going to have to be really late on the brakes. Caesar equally very late on the brakes. Runs a little bit wide himself. Forces Mashiro out wide. And again, Mashiro can't get a move done at turn 1. And Mashiro has used up 30% of his ERS. Oh, Sejonis has a massive moment. He's nearly in the wall on the outside. He loses a place to Bircher because of it. He kind of got caught out by how much Mashiro and Caesar were battling, and it's let the Hassman through. But again, Mashiro, using up that extra ERS he had, still couldn't make the move stick.
Yeah, he's really stuck in the
as Mark, race leader, Mark has made a mistake at the start of the second sector. He's run wide, and F1 AMG has popped it down the inside, and he's into the race lead. That is exactly what I was saying a couple of laps ago, waiting for a mistake, and it looks like F1 AMG has forced Mark into an error, and Mark's given up the race lead.
Yeah, he didn't see the mistake, but yeah, the F1 AMG is running a lot more ERS now, so let's see. I think he's gonna drive away from LOE Mark, and yeah, let's hope he can keep up and they can still battle, because I was really hoping for a lot more battles this race. But the DRS train is in behind. The DRS train is so powerful. You saw it with Mashiro. It's really hard to overtake if you're in the middle of the DRS train.
Absolutely. Looking on board with Steve. Again, he was only a 10th behind Isotopic coming out the final corner, but he's completely run out of ERSs, Steve. He can't use any of it. Meanwhile, Thor is up another place on those medium tyres. He's passed Jan into turn 1. He's not got any overtake really to use himself either, but he's worked his way past the Mercedes man. He's up into 10th place. He's only 1.5 seconds behind Sejonis. Let's see how quickly he can catch Sejonis, and whether the soft tyres really are struggling at this point, because Thor is doing a good job, but now Focky and Kieran are starting to catch Jan and this queue of cars in front. It looks like we've reached the crossover period where the medium tyres are the better tyre now.
Yeah, I think so too. Thor is not catching that quick now, but probably after 7 laps the tyres are really struggling and screaming because they're overheating. I think they're going to be pitting soon as well, because the hard tyres can last a pretty long time. But yeah, the mediums are really having the advantage now over soft tyres.
Absolutely, yeah. Meanwhile, Isotopic, you can see after being passed by Simply Superman, Simply Superman just hasn't had the pace to pull away from this queue of cars, and he's got a 3-second time penalty as well, has the Racing Point driver. As F1 AMG, meanwhile, as we say that the softs are going off, he sets the fastest lap of the race, and he's 1.4 seconds clear. What a lap from F1 AMG. He's completely dropped Mark at this point. 1.4 seconds. It looks like F1 AMG at the start of the race was just cruising really behind Mark, because once he's got past him, he's up and gone.
Yeah, incredible. His race pace is so good. He's so fast. Just 1 lap, 1.5 seconds, and it's not a really long track. It's don't know what the times are now, but probably 112s, 111s. It's really a big gap for 1 lap.
It's really a massive gap for 1 lap, like you say. He's pulling away from Mark and is still continuing to do so. Mark, he's shown really good pace. He's shown a lot more pace than a lot of the people behind him, but F1 AMG, once again, pace-wise, looks to be on another level. We saw this in Vietnam last time out, that F1 AMG had incredible race pace. He just got unlucky with a few incidences in the race, but again, Mark doing a solid job at second at the moment. He's doing a good job of picking up the points when he needs to, but he just doesn't quite have the raw pace to keep up with F1 AMG at the moment. Meanwhile, the queue behind is getting closer and closer and closer. Fall has massively caught this queue in front. It was about 1.5 seconds. It's now 0.6 of a second to Jonas in front. What we see any of the soft runners come in, one of the Red Bulls is in. Steve is the first person to pull the trigger and actually speeds in the pit lane because he came in so late. He has come in to put the hard tyres on, the state of those soft tyres when he came off the car in the pit lane. But he's the first person to come in and try something a little bit different. He was right at the front of the queue, being held up big time by Isotopic and Simply Superman. This could be a podium-winning move here from Steve.
Yeah, he can. He really has a lot of clean air now in front of him. So if his out lap and laps after that are good, I think he's going to gain a couple of places now, because the soft tires are really starting to go off.
Absolutely, yeah, but a little bit of a wobble there through turn 2 there for Steve. Struggling a little bit with tyre warm-up. Obviously, hard tyres take a little bit of time to warm up, but about halfway through the lap, they will be very good in terms of pace. And it looks like Steve has saved quite a lot of ERS before his pit stop. He was running with barely any before they came into the pit lane. He's gained a lot more in that time. So He seems to be on the move now. Whether he uses that ERS to try and jump Isotopic and Simply Superman in the pit stops. Jan, meanwhile, in the other Mercedes compared to F1 AMG, is really struggling at the moment. He's going to get absolutely mugged around the outside. Oh, there's contact. Focky kind of forced wide there by Jan, and Jan has hit the back of Focky's car. Focky's spun around on the exit of the corner. Looks like neither of them have picked up damage, but Focky's race goes from bad to worse, and he drops behind Steve now as Bertia and Simply Superman react to Steve's pit stop, and they come into the pit lane.
Yeah, probably they're gonna go for the hard tires as well. And I was just on board with Mashiro. He's really getting nervous and wants to overtake Caesar. He's almost pushing it through the corners, watching on the inside, on the outside. Let's hope he doesn't get too doesn't want to overtake him too fast and make a mistake.
Absolutely. I'm actually just looking on board with Focky. I think the reason why Focky may be struggling... Actually, no, I was just about to say it looks like he's running his overtake too much, but it just turned off briefly there, so that doesn't look like the case. But meanwhile, look how much Steve has jumped Simply Superman by pitting a lap earlier. Simply Superman was 2 places in front of Steve. Steve is 1.5 seconds clear of Simply Superman after 1 lap.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, what we said, the undercut can be pretty powerful here on new tires. Yeah, let's see if he can gain a couple of plays as well on Shiro and Caesar.
Absolutely. His Mark picks up a 3-second time penalty. He's next person into the pit lane, so he's going to try the undercut on F1 AMG, see whether he can get back in front of the Mercedes man and hold the race lead. He comes into the pit lane. He's followed in by Usobic and Sejonis. Caesar and Mashiro and F1 AMG all staying out on the track, so they're extending their soft tyre stint a little bit further. Thor now up into 4th place on those medium tyres, and only 1.5 seconds off the back of Mashiro here. So if Thor is able to take these medium tyres long enough to put the soft tyres on at the end of the race, he could be someone, he could really be one to watch at the end.
Yeah, it can. It can be the surprise of today, and let's hope so. I mean, I hope everybody has a good result, of course. But it's his first time here. I hope the medium tires will get that far, and he can be the surprise of the day.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, Simply Superman held up a little bit behind Focky on his outlap has meant that Simply Superman not only jumped by Steve, but also jumped by Isotopics. So Isotopics managed to get back in front of the Alfa Romeo man. He's back up into a net P4 for the time being. Jonas and Bircher have come out behind Focky, so they're going to have to make their move stick past these guys as well. Jan obviously running down in 13th. He's put the set of the medium tyres on, so he's maybe hoping for a late safety car to put a set of soft tyres on at the end. He's really struggling today, unfortunately. Jonas having a look down the inside of Focky there, not quite going to pull the move off. He's not close enough. He's in a Haas sandwich at the moment as F1 AMG, Mashiro and Caesar all come in. Mashiro picks up a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That's exactly what his Red Bull teammates managed to do. So both Red Bulls with a penalty hanging over them at the moment. F1 AMG comes out onto the track ahead of Kieran as well as Mark. So F1 AMG, despite pitting 2 laps later than Mark, has managed to keep a substantial enough gap back to the Renault man and has kept a very comfortable lead at this point.
Yeah, really comfortable lead. Yeah, I don't know if maybe Mark made a mistake in his outlap, and yeah, F1 AMG only 2.5 seconds behind Tol now, who's running the medium. So let's see if he can catch him, and maybe he will be held up by Tol, and it's the opportunity Mark was waiting for to catch up.
Absolutely, but as you say that, the same thing's happening to Mark at the moment. He's stuck a little bit behind Kieran. Kieran running the same strategy as Thor in front. Mark is stuck a little bit behind the McLaren man. He's not close enough to make a move around this DRS straight. He's probably going to wait till turn 1, but Mark doesn't have a lot of ERS in reserve really to overtake, so he's going to be using pretty much all of it down the pit straight to get past the McLaren man if he can get close enough. Further in behind, Steve and Mashiro have both managed to get out in front of that queue of cars, so Mashiro's gained a lot of places here, and Caesar somewhere's made a mistake. Caesar's down to 12th.
Yeah, and he was doing really good. I mean, he was in front of Mashiro pretty much the whole
Mark's
race.
into the pit lane. Mark's into the pit lane. This is bizarre. Why is Mark into the pits? It's a set of medium tires. Has he broken his front wing? He has. Mark's broken his front wing somewhere. Where on earth has that happened?
Yeah, that probably explains the gap to F1 AMG then.
Absolutely, yeah. So Mark has broken his front wing. Meanwhile, Caesar going for a move on Focky down into turn 2. What a move from Caesar that is. He's stuck it down the inside of the Haasman. He's obviously running the alternate strategy. He's up another place, but Mark, from a comfortable 2nd place, is now last on a set of medium tyres that he's going to have to take to the end. That is absolute disaster for Mark, who was set for easily a 2nd place. He's dropped literally stone dead last and is going to have to work his way back through the field now.
Yeah, it's got to be really, really hard for him to do that. I think he's hoping for a safety car now, so he can put on the tires somewhere, soft tires somewhere in the end of the race or something. Because I don't see him coming back to P2 from P13 on this track.
Absolutely not, and he's still got a way to go to even catch Jan in front. He's 2.5 seconds behind the Mercedes man, who's a further 10 seconds back off the queue of cars in front. So a lot of time to gain for Mark to get back into at least the top 10 here, which amazingly has now meant F1 AMG leads this race. Well, he's second on the road. Thor still leads this race on a set of medium tyres. F1 AMG is currently our net racing leader. He's the first person to have made a pit stop. Kieran's running in third. He's yet to make a pit stop as well. Further in behind, F1 AMG currently has about a 7.5 second lead over the two Red Bulls. Steve and Mashiro, before the pit stop phase, were 5th and 7th. They are now a net 2nd and 3rd.
Yeah, but they really have to put pedal to the metal because they both have a 5 second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So they really need to put on the pace and yeah, maybe some team orders because I think Mashiro is the fastest of the two. But yeah, let's see. They really have to extend their gap on Ice Topic and the rest.
Absolutely, yeah. This is prime opportunity as well for Red Bull to really get back into the manufacturer's race. Red Bull have shown flashes of pace so far this season, but Mishiro's made a couple of mistakes and Steve hasn't necessarily got the best results he could have got out of a race so far. So this is prime opportunity for Red Bull to jump into that battle between Williams, Mercedes and Renault at the front of the Manufacturers' Championship. Obviously, like you say, they have to gap 5 seconds back to the cars behind, which is still being led by Isotopic and Simply Superman. Sedonis Burgess and Caesar still stuck behind these two guys. Isotopic and Simply Superman definitely showing a lot more pace this time around than they have so far this season, as Mashiro sets the fastest lap of the race. He's absolutely flying as Kieran pits from those medium tyres onto a set of hards. He can't take those mediums any further into the race, unfortunately. But Isotopic and Simply Superman, despite not quite having the pace of the guys around them, doing a brilliant job of keeping good positions in this race.
Yeah, they are. I mean, yeah, defending isn't easy as well. So, no, they're doing an absolutely brilliant job. They're higher up than I expected, and yeah, I think like what we've seen from them now, I think they can keep this up to the end of the race and get in a good performance.
Absolutely, yeah. Meanwhile, Kieran, obviously, after his pit stop, he's come out behind Focky, but only 4 seconds back. So if Thul pits now, he'll probably come out just in front of Focky behind Caesar in that queue of cars, as Jan and Mark are side by side. Oh, Jan's made contact with him. I don't think Jan's way to get any worse at this point. A full 360, well held from Jan. That was very Charles Leclerc-esque, that was, but contact with Mark at the top of the hill, and Jan is falling back down to 13th place with another spin in this race. It's just gone horribly wrong for the Mercedes man. He's hoping for a late safety car. Obviously, still going in this race, which is good to see, because you can still get points no matter where you finish. Thor's into the pit lane, so Thor can't take those medium tyres long enough to put a set of soft tyres on. His medium tyres will be about 5 laps or so fresher than hard tyres, sorry, will be about 5 laps or so fresher than everyone around him. But do you think it would have been a better option for Thor to go a little bit longer and put a set of the soft tyres on at the end?
Yeah, it probably would have been, but I don't know in which state his tires were. I mean, yeah, it is a really demanding track on the tires with the bank corners and some really fast corners in the middle sector. So maybe they were already gone and they just couldn't work out their strategy and it failed on the strategy.
Absolutely, but look out for Thor at the end of this race to have fresher tyres than everyone in front of him at the moment. He's only 2 seconds off the back of the queue, which is still being led by Isotopic, who now runs in P4. So now everyone is back into their proper positions. F1 AMG 6.5 seconds out in front. At the moment, he's looking very comfortable. He is cruising, but he is being slightly caught by the Red Bulls at this point. They are about 4 or 5 tenths a lap faster than F1 AMG, and Mashiro especially. He's caught his teammate incredibly quickly. Mashiro, I imagine, will probably want to get past Steve pretty quickly. I don't think Steve will put up too much of a fight, but Mashiro, after being led out from behind that queue of cars, definitely has the pace to maybe at least to catch F1 AMG as he breezes past Steve in a straight line with the fastest lap of the race as well. Mashiro looking like he could possibly catch F1 AMG towards the end of this race.
Yeah, I think so, and I don't know if F1 AMG knows about the penalty of the Red Bull guys. If he knows, that's probably the reason why he's cruising and just doesn't want to make a mistake. But Mashiro's looking really good on this track, and he's fast, put in a couple of fast laps again. And just to let you guys in a little secret about Mashiro, it's kind of his home race as well, as he's half Japanese and half Dutch.
Ah, well, there you go. The half a home race then for Mashiros, who's obviously going to be wanting to do well around this track. He's past Steve, but Steve is keeping good pace with him at the moment. Steve is 3.4 seconds clear of Isotopic, so they're nearly at that 5-second window ahead of the guys behind. Isotopic still ahead of Simply Superman. So John is still not close enough to make a move on the Racing Point man. He's still stuck in 6th place. I think especially Season to Jonis look to have the pace. If they could get past Simply Superman and Isotopic, they could definitely cruise up to the back of the Red Bulls, but they just can't find a way through at the moment. Caesar looks maybe close enough to have a go at Birch down to the turn 1, but he's not using his overtake through the final corner. He doesn't want to go for the move, and he's still stuck in 8th place. Caesar trying to make up for what's happened to Mark's race at this point. Can't get past the guys in front, and is still stuck in 8th place as he gets on the curb at turn 1 as well. Loses the rear of the car. This has not been the performance from Caesar that we saw last time out.
No, this is something like Australia, first race of the season. We expected a lot of them, and yeah, it's not really going their way. Some little mistakes. Mark having to had a wing change. Caesar with some little mistakes fell back. So yeah, really unlucky race for them so far.
Yeah, it really has been a shame. It's more like you say, more like the Renault we saw from Australia rather than the one from Vietnam. So you never know, when we get to the race next week, Renault could probably get another 1-2 again. It looks like the pattern that they're forming at the moment. But yes, these are running in 8th, losing a little bit of touch with the Haas car in front after that mistake at turn 1. Thor's not really catching these guys in front, but he is still on fresher tyres, so he could catch more towards the end of the race. Thor has completely used up his bank really of ERS and picks up a 3-second time penalty there by jumping over the curb at the right-hander. So that's another time penalty added to his race, unfortunately. Looking further down the field, Focky's made his pit stop onto the hard tyres. He's come out just in front of Jan. So Focky and Jan have had absolutely horrid races at this point. Both of these guys obviously came into contact early in the race. Mark's back into P11, but only P11 at the moment. 4 laps on those medium tyres. It's going to be a big ask for him to get those to the end.
Yeah, that's we saw with the other guys who started on the mediums. They had to pit earlier than we thought, so he's gonna have a difficult day getting them home. But on the other hand, the car is getting lighter now because of the fuel burning, so maybe he can pull it off. I hope he can pull it off.
Absolutely. Just noticed something actually. Steve's made an error somewhere. Steve is now 3 seconds behind his teammate and only 1.2 ahead of Isotopic. So all of that gap that Steve had built up in the last 10 or so laps ahead of the queue behind is completely evaporated. So he's got to do it all over again. Building a 5, he doesn't look that much faster than Isotopic and Simply Superman, maybe a few tenths a lap. Building that 5-second gap up again in the last 16 laps of this race is going to be a massive ask now for Steve.
Yeah, it is. It looks like even Isotopic is gonna just gain on him and get closer. By the way, just know that Isotopic and Simply Superman are driving a superb race.
Absolutely, yeah, they are doing brilliantly so far. This is a better showing than we saw from Vietnam from both of them. Isotopic only on his 2nd race this season. He debuted last time out. Had a good run, but didn't quite get the result he wanted, but still showing much better pace this time round. If he can keep within 5 seconds of Steve, that will be Isotopic's first podium of the season. That'd be great to see for the Alfa Romeo guys. Looking further down the field as well to Jonis and Bircher and Caesar still running 6th, 7th and 8th. They just haven't been able to work their way forward. Since Jonis actually starting to lose touch a little bit with Simply Superman. I think Jonis being stuck behind this guys now has kind of just lost his rhythm really and probably maybe overheating his tyres. To Jonis, we obviously mentioned in the qualifying that he hasn't had the best of qualifying since Australia, but his race pace is usually very good. He's looked like he could have good race pace, but the nature of the track means that he can't use it.
Yeah, definitely true, and because it's so much corners, and when you're in dirty air, the car gets a bit understeery, and it's really hard on your tires. So we saw it last race out as well with Jonas and Jay Bogan, that when they were driving close to each other, they just fell back because they couldn't keep up with the pace because of the dirty air.
Absolutely, yeah. Like you say, we saw that from the Williams guys last time. Actually, Jonas has struggled so much on this lap that he's now out of DRS range to the guys in front. Simply Superman closing in on Isotopic. Kieran picks up a time penalty. But again, Simply Superman, he's done an amazing job in the second half of this race of saving his ERS. He's back up to 90%, whilst Isotopic in front of him is only on 20. So if Isotopic even makes a slight error in the final sector, and Simply Superman's, 3 tenths behind, Simply Superman could breeze past Isotopic and up into 4th place. As Jonas, I think, actually made a bit of a mistake into turn 3. So again, he's dropped further back now. And Caesar's still all over the back of Bircher, but can't get through. But like I said, yeah, Simply Superman doing a great job of putting himself in a good position to steal a podium away from Isotopic and Steve in front.
Yeah, he is. I mean, his driving is superb, and so far Isotopic has had a really good exit on the final corner, so he didn't lose that many time on in the starting straight. But yeah, his ERS is
Yes,
really
well,
low now. So
full safety car.
okay.
Wow, Focky's gone off the road. He's had contact with Jan again for the second time in this race. They've come into contact. It looks like either one of them has tried to go for an overtake at the top of the track. They've come into contact. Jan has lost part of his front wing, I think. Actually, no, he hasn't. Jan again has got away with contact with Focky with no damage, but Focky's ended up in the wall and has lost his front wing. F1 FG is into the pit lane. Both Red Bulls are into the pit lane. That's a disaster for Steve. Mishiro having to serve his 5-second time penalty and change his tyres. He's going to get massively held up, is Steve here. So Steve is going to drop way down the field. Mishiro with his 5-second time penalty comes out of the pits. He should still be in second. Caesar is the only one to opt to stay out. Caesar doesn't want to still be in that queue of cars. He wants to be ahead of the queue of cars now. He's up into second place, but on a set of 9-lap-old hard tyres, everyone behind him has gone for the mediums apart from Mishiro and Mark and Kieran. Mark and Kieran have gone for the softs. Mishiro for the soft tyres. Everyone else on the mediums. Caesar, if he's able to hold decent enough pace on these hard tyres, this is an inspired move from him to at least gain more points than he would have been if he got stuck in that queue still.
Yeah, I think it's really smart what he did. It's only 9 laps old. I mean, it's 2 compounds harder than where Shiro is running now. But if he can get a good exit out of the final corner and is really sensible with his ERS, which is now 100%, he can maybe he gain a podium place by this decision.
Absolutely, yeah. Mishiro now running in third place. He was running in second place, but he's obviously got rid of that 5-second time penalty now, so he's now free to attack really for every position on track at this point. If he's able to get past Caesar quick enough, which, as we've seen throughout this race, it's incredibly difficult to do so. If Mishiro can get past F1 AMG, he could challenge F1 AMG for the race lead, but as we saw just before the safety car came out, F1 AMG was about 6.5 seconds clear of Mishiro. Mishiro set the fastest lap of the race. The very next lap, F1 AMG just put the hammer down and did a 1 minute 11.8, which is at least 4/10 clear of everyone else in the field at the moment.
Yeah, that just shows the pace of F1 AMG. Really great race pace of him. Yeah, let's see what happens now. I mean, it was the hard tires. 2 compounds softer now can be a big difference with your setup. So let's hope they can battle. But first, Mishiro has to get past Caesar, and yeah, it's really difficult. Ooh.
Absolutely, yes. Mishiro and Isotopic nearly come into contact at turn 1 there. That was very, very close, but they get away with it. Just looking at the queue of cars then behind the safety car, we're probably going to get going this lap because of how close the field was before the safety car came out. F1 AMG still leads this race. Caesar's jumped up into second place, having been the only person not to come into the pit lane. Mishiro's in third. Isotopic still running in fourth ahead of Simply Superman in fifth. Jonas is in sixth ahead of Birchia in seventh place. Thorl is now in eighth place, so he's done a good job of keeping up with the queue of cars in front, despite struggling for pace in qualifying. Steve has dropped from a third place on the road to ninth. He's dropped so much in this safety car period.
Yeah, really unfortunate. I don't think Steve and Mashiro are in a party, because elsewhere Mashiro could have told him he was going to pit. It was a double stack now, and it cost him so much time.
Absolutely, yeah, it's cost him so much, and he's got 2 soft runners behind him. We've got Kieran in 10th place and Mark, who's obviously looking to make ground for the mistake he made earlier on in the race. He's running in 11th under set of softs. He's going to be looking to try and make as much progress into the top 10 as possible. So look out especially for Mark to try and come through towards the end of this race. But at the moment, a safety car is coming in at the end of this lap. We'll wait and see how everyone deals with the safety car restart. It's obviously the first safety car of the race, and it's the first time F1 AMG is going to be leading people to a safety car restart this season, which is amazing to say, considering how fast it's been all season. I think this is the first time he'll be leading a safety car restart. So here we'll go and wait and see whether he can get a big enough gap to Caesar at the safety car restart. Caesar's obviously on those 10-lap-old hard tyres. They'll be 11 laps old when they cross the line. Simply Superman hanging back massively before the safety car gets going again. Not quite sure why that is, but let's wait and see where the F1 AMG goes. The safety car is going to be coming into the pit lane about now. He's not gone as of yet. He's waiting to the very last moment. It looks like he's still not gone. Some people at the back think he might have gone. Oh, there's the contact further back. I think Mark's went into the back of Steve there. He's been caught out by how slowly they were going round. Thor's picked up a time penalty as well. Mark's dived into the pit lane for the 3rd time in this race. F1 AMG gets going literally right before the start-finish line. It caught so many people out. Marcus retired from the session, I think, just out of pure frustration. But F1 AMG leads through turn 1. Caesar Caesar is under pressure massively here from Mashiro. Focky's left the session, obviously, after his contact. Mashiro can't get a move done on Caesar there. Is he going to try and get a move done towards the top of the hill? He's on his overtake button. It looks like Caesar's on it as well to defend, but look at the run that Mashiro's got. It's going to go to the outside, but there's not really enough room round the outside. Is he going to pull that off? That'd be an amazing move if he can. Caesar leads him just enough. Still side by side on this contact. The nature of the corner there. Caesar had to turn slightly left to get to the inside of the corner, and Mashiro caught on the outside. He's hit the wall and has lost his front wing almost completely. Caesar's down at the back of the field. What a disastrous race. Mashiro spun.
Again.
Yeah, contact into the side, I think, of Birchie there with the front wing damage. He spun. Mashiro, another mistake this season, going for a move that was, I think, just too risky at that point in the track, and it's cost Caesar and Mashiro massively. Both Renaults now right down at the back of the field. Mark out of the race, and Caesar with his front wing completely missing. As for Mashiro as well, has put F1 AMG in the lead of this race by almost 3 seconds already. Simply Superman is up into second. Isotopic is in third, but here comes Tejonis on the back of him. Tejonis trying to use all of his overtake to finally get past the Alfa Romeo man. He's down the inside, but Isotopic really late on the brakes. Tejonis can't get the move stuck, but this has gifted Simply Superman and Isotopic a run at a podium here. And Mashiro and Caesar in the pit lane, as is Steve. So both Red Bulls have had to come into the pit lane again. So even more of a disaster for Mashiro, who has to wait even longer in the pit lane. But just by the basis of that overtake, that was just, in my opinion, too risky for Mashiro to try and pull that move off there.
Yeah, it was. There just isn't enough room. Really racy. He wanted to overtake a couple of guys earlier, and really just didn't have the patience and destroyed his own race with this and Caesar's race as well now. So yeah, just really opportunistic move, and yeah, probably the stewards are gonna have to say something about this.
Probably. I will say that the stewards might be a bit of a busy one after that move. I think Mashiro, if he pulled the move off, it would have been an amazing overtake, but it was a 20% really of that move being pulled off. And obviously Caesar, being on 10 lap old hard tyres, doesn't have the grip that Mashiro has, so being side by side through those corners of all corners on the track is incredibly difficult. Caesar and Mashiro have actually come back out onto the track, as has Steve. Mashiro has come back out on the track so far back. He's only just exited sector 1 now. He's so far back down the field now. Both Red Bulls in with a shout of getting a 2-3 at least in this race with the pace they showed, have really just thrown a shot at catching back up in the Manufacturers' Championship. They've thrown it out the window at this point.
Yeah, they really did, and yeah, the same with the Renault guys as well. They did really good last race out. Yeah, just unlucky, but yeah, Simply Superman and Isotopic gaining some real places and are in places which I didn't expect on forehand. So yeah, some other guys really are profiting from this.
Absolutely, yeah, like you say, Simply Superman and Isotopic, they might not have had exactly the raw speed of some of the people around them, but they've kept it very clean and they've been very smart throughout this race. They've just been sticking in the queue of cars within the DRS, not over-attacking or defending, and it's gifted them an opportunity at getting a podium. Obviously, remember, Simply Superman does have a 3-second time penalty, so he could lose that podium to Jonas at the moment, but still on track. Simply Superman running in second place at the moment, doing a brilliant job in his second race this season. Same for Isotopic as well. And look out as well for Thor in 6th place at the moment. Oh, we nearly got run into the back of there by Kieran, who's up into 7th. He's benefited massively from all this carnage at the safety car restart. But Thor, currently running in 6th place, has done an amazing job in this race, considering how much he struggled in qualifying. He's currently running near the top 5.
Yeah, and Batch as well. He's been driving around P9, P10 the whole race, and he's P5 now as well. So he gained a real amount of places as well. So yeah, and Thor, just for his first race as a reserve driver, great job. Just yeah, good job.
He has done a very good job. This is good. If he ever takes another seat in this championship, it's good to know that he has got very good pace and he can keep up with the guys around him. Kieran, though, looking very racy on these soft tyres. The grip that these soft tyres are showing is impeccable. F1 AMG's disappeared out front, and Kieran is all over the back of the Alfa Romeo man. He's looking to try and get a move stuck. He's struggled a lot at the start of this race to Kieran, starting on the medium tyres, but this is a blessing in disguise, really. This safety car, he runs a little bit wide coming out the penultimate corner. He's not going to get the best run down the straight, and he doesn't really have any ERS to really attack Thor down into turn 1 unless he's got a very good car in a straight line, which it seems he has. He's completely out of ERS, but he's still gaining massively. He's going to try and go all the way around the outside. He squeezes Thor to the inside. Great racing between these two, and Kieran's going to drive all the way around the outside of turn 1. He's on the grass towards turn 2. There's a bit of contact. Thor sticks down the inside and is stuck on the curb, and just as we say Thor's had a good race, just squeezed to the inside of the corner there by Kieran. There wasn't really enough room for the pair of them. Once again, this track bites people when trying to go for overtakes at very unorthodox places, and Thor hits the wall and has lost his front wing. We've completely cursed him there, but his race has fallen apart just in one corner.
Yeah, really sad to see. I mean, I thought that Kieran and Thor had a really great battle there, and it seemed clean until they touched just one time, and yeah, he lost the car. Sad for him because he was driving a really decent race, but yeah, really difficult to overtake in these corners because they're so unnatural for a racing track.
Absolutely, and they're so narrow. It's such a narrow track, this as well, and it is looking like at this point people are getting desperate now to try and get moves done at someplace else because people can't do it into turn one. Speaking of overtakes into turn one, Jonas finally looking up the inside of Isotopic, who's looking at trying to get a move on Simply Superman. Simply Superman's starting to struggle now. He used a lot of his ERS early on in this stint to try and pull away. It's not quite worked. Oh, that was so close there between Isotopic and Jonas, but Jonas again has the momentum into turn one. It makes another mistake into turn three to Jonas, but Jonas still, we're 30 laps into this race, and he still can't get past Isotopic.
Yeah, really great defending. They gave each other just enough space to survive the battle, but yeah, Isotopic, it's the whole race. He's defending so good. He's letting he leaves space when there is a battle, but he just closes it in time and in a safe manner, and just great.
Absolutely, it's been an incredibly smart race from Isotopic, this one has, and it's just showing as well that we have had a number of people stand out for great speed at this race, but it seems like Isotopic can really throw a spanner into the works in this title challenge. He's definitely one to look out for to maybe get an odd podium or an odd win this season. Obviously, Simply Superman running with a time penalty, so he is going to lose second place to Isotopic at this point, and third to Jonas as well. Jonas again so close to the back of Isotopic coming around the last corner. Isotopic defends to the inside. Jonas will have to go to the inside this time round. Isotopic sticking in Simply Superman's DRS. Isotopic so late on the brakes in turn one. How on earth did he get that stop? And again, Isotopic defends the place.
Yeah, I can watch this all day long. This is just great to watch, great to see. Jonas smart as well, just not to leave his
that was so close to dropping it. Well held from Jonas, but again, another little error in a traction zone from Jonas. Puts him under a bit of pressure from Bircher, but that gives Isotopic a little bit of a breather now.
Yeah, and he really needed it. I mean, 2 laps in a row. Jonas going for the overtake and just stopping, holding it down. Great, really great to watch. Too bad it's just in the end of the race, and we didn't see this earlier this race.
Absolutely, yeah. I think the key to Isotopic's race now to defend that second place that he's on for at the moment is to try and get past Simply Superman. I think that could really help his race. Meanwhile, just looking further down, I'll give a shout out to Kieran. Kieran really struggled at the start of this race, and he struggled in Australia as well. We got, I believe, a 10th place in Australia in the end. He struggled a little bit there, and he struggled a bit at the start on the medium tyres, but putting the soft tyres on at the end of this race has been it's been an inspired move. It's really worked for him. He's up into 6th place. Jonas again thinking about a move on Isotopic, who just covers the inside line, so Jonas can't get there, and again he holds on to 3rd place for the time being. But yeah, like I was saying, Kieran has done a really remarkable job at coming back in this race.
Yeah, it is. We've seen him struggling a bit, but yeah, just decent race. He's being consistent this race, not doing crazy stuff in trying to overtake where it is impossible. He's just hanging on the back and waiting for other people to make a mistake. And obviously, with just 13 people racing, he's just getting it home safe and getting a really good finishing position.
Absolutely, yeah. Just looking further down the field then, Jan is running in 7th place. He still can't keep up with his Cuba guards in front of him. He's been in a couple incidents today, especially with Focky, so I imagine he'll probably get investigated for those, and he still can't keep up with the Cuba cars in front, so he's running in 7th. Caesar passed Steve somewhere a couple laps ago, and Caesar's up into 8th ahead of the Red Bull man, so more pain for Red Bull as they fall another place. Thor's in 10th ahead of Mashiro. Mashiro running in 11th place and so far off the back of the guys in front now. What a race this could have been for Mashiro. It could have been on for a possible fight for a win, and it's all fallen apart for him.
Superman made a mistake.
He's hit the wall. He's hit the wall somewhere.
He did.
From running in 2nd place, this is exactly what happened to Mark. From running in 2nd place, he's hit the wall somewhere, and Simply Superman thrown away a possible top 5, and another man coming in to replace his front wing towards the end of the race. What a shame from Simply Superman, who was running so well in this race. I think don't take anything away from him. This has been a stellar performance from Simply Superman today, but thrown away a possible top 5. He's now down in 7th place. and is looking to be caught by Caesar before the end. What a shame for the Racing Point man.
Yeah, really sad to see. He had a great race, held everyone behind him, including Isotopic, and he just made a little mistake in the bank corner, touched the wall, and almost lost the car. It's really amazing. He could hold on to the car, but yeah, front wing change, and it's P7 now. Really sad to see.
That is such a shame. Hopefully it doesn't affect him too much for the rest of the season. You can definitely take away from this race that he's had brilliant pace throughout this race. But this has put even more pressure on Isotopic now, who doesn't have DRS anymore to help him defend from Tejonis. Tejonis, look at the run he's got through the final corner. And this time round, Isotopic doesn't really have anything to defend with. He's powerless to defend. And Tejonis finally able, with 34 laps into this race, Tejonis has finally got that move stuck on Isotopic. Oh, and Tejonis has a big snap on the exit of turn 1. He nearly loses it almost all over again. He's running still with overtake on. He's completely used all of his overtake to get past Isotopic. But 34 laps in this race, and finally Tejonis has managed to get past and is rewarded at the moment with a second place finish because of it.
Yeah, and he came from a long way back with having not the greatest qualifying he did. But yeah, now finally he had the chance. Isotopic didn't have the DRS, and yeah, it was a breeze with this one. But again, just like last week, he's really struggling in the traction zones with keeping his car, getting the power down onto the road.
Absolutely, yeah, we did notice this, like you say, last time out in Vietnam, and it seems to be happening again for him here. See whether Isotopic can come back at the Williams man. I don't think he's going to be quite close enough, and it looks like Tejonis is very strong in the final sector, so Isotopic isn't going to be close enough. He will have DRS though. See whether he uses his overtake. Tejonis has completely run out of overtake at this point, trying to get past Isotopic. Isotopic might be under a little bit of pressure here from Bircher. Where's Bircher come from in this race? He's looking to get third from Isotopic with only 2 laps to go. Bert's looking down the inside, but Isotopic defends the line, goes very deep into the corner, but is able to get the momentum coming out. Isotopic holds on to third for the time being, but with a lap to go, Isotopic is going to be defending for that third place with all of his might. But I don't think he wants to finish fourth again in this season. It already happened to him in Australia. It looks like it might happen to him again here. But Isotopic has done such a good job in this race. I don't want to show any bias, obviously, but it'd be such a shame if Isotopic lost his podium on the final lap of the race.
Yeah, it would. I mean, he showed some real great defending. How do you say it? He defended so well this whole race out. It isn't the fastest guy on track, but definitely not one who you can pass really easy. So, and Bertje as well, at P4 now. He came from somewhere at the back of the grid or something. Great from him as well.
Yeah, he's done a brilliant job of coming from the back. Haas really struggled in qualifying, but it looks like Bircher's flying the flag at the moment for Haas. Obviously, Fockett out of the race. Bircher running in 4th place is doing a solid job. He's very similar to Steve in that he might not quite have the pace, but he's able to pick up the results when other people make mistakes. We're on to the final lap, believe it or not. The second half of this race is flown by. Bert's looking down the inside, but again, look how late Isotopic is on the brakes in turn 1. He runs very deep into the midway through the corner, but he still has the track and the traction and the momentum coming out to hold on to third place. So it seems like the strategy of braking very late for turn 1 is at least working for Isotopic to hold on to third. We'll ride with F1 AMG. We haven't really the last half of this race. We just haven't spoken about F1 AMG. He's been so far out in front. I thought Caesar's win last time out in Vietnam was dominant. This is on another level. This has been what we really. This is what Vietnam could have been for F1 AMG. He's just been in a class of his own today.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when he came into P1, since then it's just been a breeze for him. It's just driving around, not pushing too hard. Just great performance from him and really dominant victory this one. And last week it was a couple of mistakes and just bad luck for him. Could have been the same, but really showing here he's probably the #1 title.
Yeah, there we go then. F1G crosses the line. Then he's going to take the win here at Zandvoort. A dominant win in the end. Giannis takes second. It's a drag race to the line between Isotopic and Bircher. Isotopic by a 1/10 of a second just holds on to P3 for his first podium of the season. Bircher misses out on a podium once again. He finishes 4th for this season. Jan takes 5th in the end. Kieran had a time penalty. Jan, after 2 incidents and running at the back of the field, ends up 5th in this race. That is amazing news for Mercedes, who will jump near right to the front of the manufacturers after that race, with only one Williams being here. Kieran finishes the race in 6th ahead of Simply Superman in 7th. Caesar in 8th ahead of Steve in 9th. We're just waiting for Thor and Mashiro now. Mashiro came into the pit lane with a lap to go. I think he's looking for the fastest fastest lap, but I think he might have left it a lap too late because he only really has a lap left. We'll see if Mashiro can steal the fastest lap, which I think is currently held by Caesar. We'll wait and see as Thor crosses the line in P10, a race of what could have been for him, unfortunately, in the Alfa Romeo. Let's wait and see what Mashiro does when he comes to the line. Does he set the fastest lap of the race? He's used all of his overtake on this lap to try and get it done, at least salvage something from this race. He comes up to the line, he crosses the line, and it is the fastest lap for Mashiro, but only P11 in the end. Another mistake costing Mashiro a podium position in this race.
Yeah, and that shows that speed is a key thing. But if you make the mistakes, you can even win a race or get a good result when you don't have P1 pace.
Absolutely, yeah, that is the thing. F1 AMG and Mashiro do look very similar on pace, but F1 AMG has been stellar in being able to race through races without making any mistakes, really. A lot of the mistakes that happened at Vietnam were caused by other people, really, for F1 AMG. So the fact that he's been out front today has meant that there's literally been not a single mistake from F1 AMG today. That is such a dominant performance from him.
Yeah, definitely a good performance from him. And yeah, it's what I said before. I think he's the #1 title contender for.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you on that one, that he's definitely the #1 title contender. So it's F1 AMG then that wins the race from second on the grid. 6 seconds his gap in the end. That's Jonas in second. Amazingly, Jonas worked his way back up to second place, considering starting from 8th on the grid. At a track that's very difficult to overtake on. It worked out well for the Williams man in the end. He keeps close, at least, F1 AMG in the championship standings. Unfortunately, Mark, Caesar and Jay Bogan, all of them retiring or not being here, means that at the moment it's a 2-horse race. Isotopic picks up 3rd place. He kept 3rd place from 3rd on the grid. Great stuff from Isotopic. Burchett in 4th from 9th on the grid. Jan in 5th ahead of Kieran in 6th. Simply Superman 7th ahead of Caesar. Steve, Thor and Mashiro the final finisher in 11th. Mark and Focky not finishing. But like I said, F1 AMG and Sejonis at the moment, with other people's mistakes and not turning up to this race either, they are now really the top 2 in the championship. They're the 2 to look out for this season.
Yeah, they are, and looking at their races, if they don't make too many mistakes, they could just extend the gap. But yeah, let's see when guys like Jay Bogan come back next week. If they come back, don't know if they're on holiday. If they can close the gap down again.
Absolutely, yeah, they're going to be hoping for more mistakes really from F1 AMG, because that performance was completely ominous in terms of the championship. That was such a dominant performance. So trying to get F1 AMG off the front row is going to be such an important task for a lot of these guys. But obviously, before we wrap up the stream today, after what was a very interesting race in the end, who are you going to give driver of the day to today?
Yeah, difficult one. There's definitely a couple of guys. I mean, F1 AMG, really dominant from him. Jonas, great recovery race, ending in P2, but my driver of the race goes to Isotopic. Just really good performance from him.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm probably have to agree with you on that one. F1 AMG, I don't want to go with a boring answer and say F1 AMG, because it is a boring answer, really, isn't it? He was so dominant in this race and didn't really come under any pressure after Mark's mistake early on after he overtook Mark early on in the race. But yeah, I'm going to have to give it to Isotopic as well. Isotopic drove a great defensive race and capitalised on other people's errors. It was a brilliant result from Isotopic in the end, considering that he obviously wasn't a full-time driver before the second race of the championship. So congrats to Isotopic for driver of the day from both of the commentators today. But that is where we're going to wrap up today. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and thank you everyone for commenting on the stream, for showing your support for all the drivers that you support. Tune in tomorrow for more action on League Racing TV. We've got Division 4 and 5 at Zandvoort tomorrow at 8 PM, and then we've got CRC running on Saturday and Sunday. LMP3 will be running at 8 o'clock on Saturday, and IndyCar will be running at 8 o'clock on Sunday. You can come and support me in the IndyCar race. I will be driving that race then, so I'll just promote that one and try and get myself some more fans. But yeah, thank you. Like I said, thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you Conti as well for joining me in the comms box again today. And from Conti and myself, it is goodbye.